The city was suffocating me. Billboards mocked my empty bank account, and the eviction notice on my door felt like a final countdown. Every ring of the phone was a creditor, every shadow a new fear. I was drowning, and the only lifeline that appeared was a strange last-minute job ad. Personal assistant needed. Generous compensation. Discretion required. It was out of town, far from everything I knew, but the pay. The pay was a gasp of air I desperately needed. So I packed a small bag, told my landlord I'd be back with the rent, and drove towards a future I couldn't even begin to imagine. I just had to get through this. Just one job to fix everything. The address led me down winding country roads, past fields that stretched into forever, until I reached a wrought iron gate that groaned open as if waking from a long slumber. The house wasn't just isolated. It felt like a world unto itself. A sprawling Gothic-style estate perched on a cliff overlooking a quiet, misty town. It was beautiful in a haunting sort of way. The air was heavy, still thick, with the scent of old roses and something else. Something like unspoken words. As I stepped out of my car, the silence was so profound it was almost a sound. It felt like the house itself was holding its breath, waiting. This wasn't just a job. It was a step into a story I didn't know the beginning of. The man who opened the door was older, with lines etched around his eyes that spoke of both laughter and sorrow. His name was Mr. Alistair Blackwood. His voice was a low, gentle rumble, yet it held an unmistakable weight of authority. He told me he needed help sorting through his late wife's belongings. She was a collector, he said, a sad smile touching his lips, of everything. Memories, mostly. He seemed kind, just a grieving widower needing a hand. But there was a look in his eyes, a flicker of something I couldn't place, that made the fine hairs on my arms stand up. He said the job was simple: catalog, pack, and be discreet. It sounded straightforward enough, but as he led me through the echoing halls, I had the chilling feeling that what he wasn't saying was far more important than what he was. The first few days were a blur of dust motes dancing in sunbeams and the scent of lavender and old paper. The house was a labyrinth of memories. But as I worked, odd details began to snag at the edges of my perception. A wing of the house was kept permanently locked. He'd just wave a hand and say, "Renovations." I'd find letters tucked into the back of drawers, written in a delicate, looping script, filled with passionate, almost desperate words, but they were always unsigned. Then, one afternoon, tucked inside a leather-bound copy of Wuthering Heights, I found it, a faded photograph of a woman. She was beautiful, with a defiant spark in her eyes, and she looked unsettlingly like me. The same jawline, the same curve of the lips. I quickly put it back, my heart hammering against my ribs. It had to be a coincidence. It had to be. My unease grew, but so did something else. Mr. Blackwood started seeking me out in the evenings. We'd sit in the grand library, a fire crackling in the hearth, and he would talk. He didn't talk about his wife's things anymore. He talked about asterisk her asterisk, about their first dance, the arguments they had, the way she hummed when she was painting. He spoke of a love that was all-consuming and a loss that had hollowed him out. I found myself listening, not just as an employee, but as a confidant. I saw the raw grief behind his gentlemanly facade, and against all my better judgment, I felt a pull towards him. Not romance, but a deep, aching compassion, mixed with a chilling sense of connection I couldn't explain. I felt like I was becoming part of his story, a ghost in his memories. The night the storm rolled in from the coast, everything changed. Rain lashed against the tall, arched windows, and thunder shook the old house to its foundations. A branch cracked and hit a power line, plunging us into darkness. Mr. Blackwood, looking paler than ever, handed me a flashlight and asked me to fetch a medical kit from the locked wing. He gave me the key. "It's in the master bedroom," he said, his voice trembling. My hand shook as I turned the lock. The air inside was cold, stale, and there on the bedside table was a diary. Her diary. My curiosity, my fear, it all collided and I opened it. Her name was Alara, and her final entries weren't about collecting things. They were about a rare degenerative illness, about losing herself piece by piece, and about a promise she made Alistair swear. A final desperate promise. And that's when I saw the painting on the wall. A portrait of Alara, completed just before she died. The resemblance was no coincidence. It was the entire point. He found me there, diary in my hand, tears streaming down my face. The storm outside was a whisper compared to the tempest in that room. He didn't have to explain. I understood. The job wasn't about sorting belongings. It was about asterisk becoming asterisk a memory. His wife's last wish, born from her fear of being forgotten, was for him to find someone, just for one night, to reenact their most cherished memory, their anniversaries. Oh, he could say goodbye to asterisk, her asterisk, not the illness. He looked at me, his eyes pleading. Just for tonight, he whispered. Wear her dress. Let me have one last dance. It was insane. It was wrong. It blurred every line of morality I had. But I saw the abyss of his grief, and I saw the sack of bills waiting for me back home. So I made a choice that would grant me my freedom, but would steal a part of my soul forever. I left before the sun rose, the money far more than we agreed upon heavy in my bag. The storm had passed, leaving the world washed clean. But I felt filthy. As I drove away, I didn't look back. His last words echoed in my head. Thank you. You've given her back to me just for a moment. No one will ever know what happened in that house. What lines I crossed, what role I played in a stranger's grief. I bought my solvency with a piece of my peace. Sometimes when I look in the mirror, I see her face instead of my own. A woman, a photograph, a name in a diary, a ghost I helped someone say goodbye to. It's a secret I'll carry forever, a heavy, silent thing. And part of me, the part that still hears the rain on those windows, hopes it stays that way. Thank you so much for listening to my story. It's not an easy one to tell. If you've ever felt like you've had to make an impossible choice, maybe you understand. If this resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.